Here we are together again. Good to see you. Good to see you with the eye of faith. But how do I know that we are family? That our loving parent is the awesome creator and intimate friend, even our Father. How do you know? How do you get assurance of this? Through faith. Wholehearted faith. The greater the challenges, the greater the necessity that faith be wholehearted. I'm going to contrast for a few minutes here the faith of a little child with the faith of an adult child. We're still the child of God. But that faith and trusting dependence of the little child is a receptive faith. A receptive faith. Spiritual truth is read, is heard, is manifest. Divine beauty happens. The goodness of God is felt in a series of events, a chain of interactions, a motivation of love, spontaneously pouring forth divinely from within. Whatever it may be, that faith of the little child, available at any age, we can always go back to that. And that little child who's discovering God at age 65 or whatever enters as a little child in that receptivity of recognizing the truth. Before we can even start thinking about it, we recognize the truth. And we know. Something in the soul knows God. Something in the soul. Or we could just say, the soul knows God. Now, the faith of an adult child is more discerning because sometimes that childlike faith swallows more than it needs to. It discerns the divine value, and that trust in God becomes also a trust in a package, in a book, in a community, in a whatever it might be, which is mixed, not simply divine, but human and divine in ways that are sometimes unfortunate. Sometimes it's just one of my favorite ways of saying this is when Gandhi was talking about his faith, and he said, even in the scriptures that I cherish most, I don't accept every interpretation of every verse if that interpretation is repugnant to reason or moral sense. I love it because it opens the possibility of another interpretation that's not repugnant to reason or moral sense. But the little child doesn't have that integration, that little child faith doesn't draw on the mature mind to discern, which is also a soul function. Discerning the truth is a soul function. But there are disciplines of mind as well, scientific, philosophical, and so on. Those powers of mind are used to help receive more divinely. But the active dimension of faith comes on more and more. There's the receptive dimension and there's the active dimension. God gives us faith, which is the power to know and do the will of God. And God motivates our recognition and our choosing, but we are the ones who need to make the choice. We are the ones who decide and launch that decision for the will of God. And in that launching, and in that course of action, we need to stay in touch. And the soul's perception of God is crucial here. That staying in touch. Because when we're on a roll, when we're on a mighty mission, when we've just done something that we think is great or whatever, all too easy to get full of ourselves in self-righteousness instead of the God-given, maturing righteousness of the adult child of God. But when problems arise like a thicket, and they're not yielding to our efforts to find solution, do we not need the power of faith, of an adult faith? The power of an adult faith will break us through our own resistances, of which we may be unconscious. But insofar as we learn to recognize them, there they are in the crosshairs. Let's go. Let's go into and through those resistances. And if we want to live the life, the increasingly divine life of a son or daughter of God, there are obstacles in this world to our living that divine life. And it's not our own resistance, it's obstacles in the world. And the power of adult faith does not mean that all your opponents, all your enemies just lie down in front of you and say, yeah, I guess you were right. You know, I agree after all. Let's walk hand in hand on this big issue on which we have debated so hard and so long. That might not happen. But that persistent difficulty, thicket of difficulties, big difficulties, that persistent thicket need not get in the way of our living more and more divinely, year by year, month by month, week by week, day by day, hour by hour. Where does the assurance come from? Sometimes when the thicket of problems is tough and our tools don't suffice to cut through, we doubt ourselves. And in doubting ourselves, we weaken ourselves. We weaken our capacity to act on the revelation of truth that is given to us, to act on the motivation of love that's there, but which we obscure by our self-concern. We are so mindful of our weaknesses that we do not rise to that self-forgetting of attention on the other. And centering in the Spirit of God within. And so for now, whatever is going on in your life or in our world, always know that you are a divinely created, infinitely loved, spiritually indwelt. The Spirit is within. Evolutionary, free will, son or daughter of the living God, and a brother or sister to every mortal that you meet. May your love for that mortal be an intelligent and wise affection. Good day.